In Florida, this is SDTV, the news station.
Good evening and welcome back to SDTV. I am Tony Pessolano bringing you the evening news. We're going to go ahead and get the President of the United States pulled up here in a moment and see what the President has to say. He came out live today and he came down here in Florida to discuss a very important topic known as Alligator Alcatraz. It looks like a detention center they're opening up down here in Florida. So we're going to go ahead and take a video from our local news team over at Wesh and see what they have to say from the President.
So this was Donald Trump this morning, landing in Florida off Air Force One. And he's coming down here. He's going to meet the governor of Florida, Desantis. They're shaking hands before they head over to Alligator Alcatraz, having a little discussion. So let's see what the governor and president have to say.
Hello, everybody. The trip was nice, and the job they've done is fantastic. And this is what you need. And Ron worked beautifully with Christie and all of the people at Homeland Security, and got it done in how many days?
8 days. A new facility was up and running. So.
And is this the model going forward, Mr. President?
It can be. I mean, you don't always have land so beautiful and so secure. We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You're not depending so much. But I wouldn't want to.
I love his hat. Golf of America. That's the way it should be. I love that.
We're setting records at the board. You know, we had no people come through that. Zero, no people. But we're going to keep it that way. So Ron did great.
Well, look, we thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for your leadership.
Let's see what DeSantis says.
You did that quicker than we knew you'd do it, but you did it so quick, which is great. But Biden let in how many millions, and you got to take care of them. And so this is one example of state operating this. The feds are approving it, supporting it. We're also going to have 2,000 more at Camp Landing, which is our National Guard site. And we're the only state in the country that mandates our state and local law enforcement to cooperate with ICE. It's made a huge difference. On any given day, Florida constitutes about 20% of all immigration arrests nationwide.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause this for a second here. So apparently what DeSantis is saying that Florida actually, of all the 50 states in the U.S., accounts for 20% of the immigration that we've actually taken care of here. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look inside the facility here and move that camera over.
Known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon.
And you just heard President Donald Trump describe it as a place not suitable for hiking. And starting tonight, migrants could be detained at the new facility called Alligator Alcatraz.
It's called Alligator Alcatraz. Apparently this is a place to detain migrants. It's a detention center facility down here in the Everglades in Florida.
This is all part of Governor Ron DeSantis' push to align the state of Florida with Trump's immigration policy.
That's right, Nancy, and the president even mentioned that the state of Florida has done more to push his immigration policies than any other state. Just behind me is the entrance to Alligator Alcatraz, and they could see their first detainees brought to this facility later on tonight. Meanwhile, President Trump arrived here just around 11 o'clock this morning and was greeted on the tarmac at what was the Everglades airport by Governor Ron DeSantis. The two were cordial and direct, but very much aligned, as you mentioned, on this policy of detaining and deporting millions.
Trump came all the way down here to Florida to see this place and meet with the governor. They just opened it today, in the beginning of July 1st today is, and he just opened this facility. These are some video clips inside. That's President Trump giving a speech over with DeSantis and some of his people.
It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation, and a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country.
Reminder, this place can hold initially 3,000, another 2,000 at a National Guard facility. The governor says that can also expand at the request of ICE. It will cost taxpayers $450 million a year to operate at the capacity, and the federal government will be picking up that tab. Now, this site now is known as Alligator Alcatraz, at least by nickname, but it does have some unique history. We spoke to UCF political professor,
This is a local reporter down at Wesh, too, a local news station.
Originally, back in 1968, was going to be one of the largest airports in the United States and potentially.
And it was vacant land. I'm actually going to pause this for a minute because there's something that I want to add to this. So actually, this land, like he said here, it was actually meant to be an airport. I did a little bit of research on this, and that's true. Now, this land never got developed. It just got built, and then it got abandoned about a year into the project. I don't know what happened exactly, but I do know a lot of animal rights and Everglades activists were upset about the Republican Party going ahead and building this Alcatraz down in Florida because they said that it was going to interfere with the wildlife and the nature that was already there. Well, this area had already been developed and had already been concreted and paved over back in the 70s. And I think maybe even the late 60s, but you can't hold me to that. I've just gone off a little bit of research I've got here. So it's already been developed. So they did not hurt the wildlife in any way by doing this. And I'm going to go ahead and get this guy pulled up here in a moment.
Going to be an international hub, for all of Central and South America.
Yeah, as you can see, they did not pave all those runways in. Those were already paved 30, 40 years ago. This place was already developed.
In the early 70s, the airport plans were abandoned due in parts to environmental concerns. Jewett goes on to say that the surrounding land was then largely designated as part of the Big Cypress National Preserve to make sure that it would remain an area that is protected. Now, the Trump administration has been very aggressive with immigration, as you all know. We can see the difference even here in Central Florida. Wesh 2 did reach out to Orange County officials asking how many people have been detained by ICE during the first 6 months of the year. There were more than 2,000 bookings between January 1st and June 30th. Keep in mind, Trump took office in late January. Last year, when then President Joe Biden was in office, there were fewer than 500 bookings with ICE.
Well, look at that. 4 times the amount of bookings with President Trump in office.
For President Trump, some against it. And of course, we'll let you know exactly what they had to say and why they are concerned about the opening of Alligator Alcatraz, which could see its first migrants detainees here tonight. For now, reporting live in South Florida, Stuart Moore, Wesh 2 News.
That concludes our SDTV evening news broadcast, bringing you today's coverage of President Trump. I am Tony Pesolano, the lead reporter and weatherman here on SDTV. Go ahead and stay tuned for updates in the future, and we're going to be signing off. Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching.
In Florida, this is SDTV, the news station.